As he got drunk on the scent of the one he loved, he heard footsteps coming from the stairs. For a few moments, he wanted to ignore them. But when he felt that aura, he had come to the conclusion that he could not ignore the person approaching them. From the moment he saw his face, he knew that nothing good would come of it. It was Dominic, his older brother. He wasn't a vampire as Jessie. He was a necromancer, creature with the ability to talk to those who have passed away, sometimes having the opportunity to bring them to life, but only for a short time. He had inherited their mother's powers, but unfortunately not her personality. He was very aggressive and hard to understand. From time to time, Jess wondered if his brother really had a heart, or if he knew what it meant to have pity, or any other feeling, out of hatred for someone or something. New world. How are you, Ang? I haven't seen you since so long. You look better than I remembered. Dominic's voice flooded the hall. Jess tensed and tried to find a way to get rid of his brother. He knew him well enough to know that he was up to something. Dominic, don't do this, Jessie's voice sounded threatening. Okay. What happened to you, bro? Am I not allowed to talk to my sister-in-law? Jessie's older brother answers. Dominic, said the brown-haired man, exasperated by his brother's behavior. Jessie, I know very well what's going on here, but that doesn't mean I agree with what you want to do. Dominic continues nervously. Angelique looked confused at the conversation between the two brothers, not knowing why they were arguing. She studied Jessie's brother carefully. He was about the size of Jess, his eyes emerald and his hair brown and thick. It was easy to see the well-worked texture of the muscles that stood out through the gray, molded, and thin t-shirt. The girl had a strange feeling about Dominic. Guys, I'm still here, decided the brunette girl to intervene in the discussion that seemed to become more and more fiery. Excuse me, Dominic, can we continue this later? Jessie said contemptuously to his brother. Dominic grimaced, looking as if he wanted to give his brother a sweet reply. He looked at the brunette behind Jessie and realized he didn't want to scare her. Eventually, he gave up and left carelessly. Something didn't sound right to Angelique from his words, especially from the weird way he looked at her. She felt completely powerless, so she couldn't afford to be a detective at times like that. I'm sorry for my brother. Since Alexandra, my ex-girlfriend, died, every girl who enters the palace with me thinks she's his sister-in-law. It's okay, Jess, said the brunette, feeling a wave of sadness caress her lightly. She regretted the loss Jessie had suffered. She could not imagine the pain he felt. She thought it was devastating to know that you would no longer be able to look into the eyes of the one you loved. Dominic was more than aware of his brother's mistake. He cared about Angelique and would not allow her to be hurt. He knew who could help him, and he wasn't going to be even a second late. So he pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Have returned. She is well, but she lacks strength and memories. Jessie thinks it's okay to hide the truth from her, he told the other person. Meanwhile, Angelique and Jessie were walking around the mansion. The brunette showed the girl every corner of the huge house that was their home, and she was amazed at everything she saw. Towards the end of the tour, the two also reached the terrace of the mansion. The girl stared in amazement at the scenery. She felt Jessie's hand sit shyly on her waist. The color began to rise on her cheeks, but she let her head fall on the man's chest, making her feel safe. Am I disturbing you? A male voice interrupts their moment, and their gaze turns to the terrace door. There, Angelique saw a man, tall, blonde, with green eyes. She did not know who he was and what he wanted, but she had feelings of joy and longing in her soul, which assured her that she was well. What do you want? Jessie asked. Angelique could tell the fear in his voice. She thought something was wrong with the two. I want my sister. His words startled the brunette girl. Angelique finally realized that the man was Abel, her older brother. Jessie seemed to freeze at his words. The brunette had combined his gaze with that of the girl. The tears around his sky-colored eyes were easy to notice. His lower lip trembled uncertainly. In a low, whispering voice, Jessie managed to answer Abel, his words making the girl frown. Now she felt even more confused than she was. Abel, I can't do this. No, I don't want to lose her again. You have no choice. It's for her own good. You know very well what can happen if she is not guarded and prepared to continue her life. Who's good? Angelique asks, looking at the two men in confusion. I'm not going to allow my little sister to be lied to and hurt again. If Jess doesn't tell her, I'll do it, Abel thought. He was grateful for the call he had received from Dominic. He just wanted the best for her. He didn't want to hurt her, but she needs to know who she is. Not to know everything, but at least a little of the truth of her past. Angelique, come with me. I want to show you something. Abel's voice catches the girl's attention, startling Jessie. The two men's eyes met, fighting hard, dumb, which didn't seem to end well. What? His sister's question caught his eye, making him smile. You'll see. Just come with me. The blonde man replied softly. Jess? The little brunette turned her gaze to Jessie and asked. With a slight hesitation, the man nodded, seeming to tell her that there was no problem in going with Abel. She decided to go with her brother to the elevator. Abel presses one of the control buttons on the panel that indicates the letter F on the ground floor. In a few moments, the metal doors of the elevator opened, and Angelique stepped out in disbelief. Along with his brother, they went out into the backyard of the mansion. Abel took her hand and walked through a small garden that hid a cemetery. Angelique looked at the place strangely. She could feel unusual energies coming from that place. They crossed that gloomy place, reaching a lake. Not far from the blue lake was a slightly larger lake, reddish to orange. Those lakes seemed so familiar to him. Heart of the Moon and Heart of the Sun. Do you remember? Abel asked, noticing his interest in the lakes. Their names seemed very familiar to her, but she did not know where they came from. She rummaged through her mind, trying to figure out the information she desperately wanted. I don't know what you're talking about, the defeated girl admitted. The blonde man approached his sister lightly and hugged her. His hand gently strokes her head, then everything is covered in a bizarre light. After the light went out, Angelique woke up in a completely different place from the backyard of the Heart of the Moon mansion. It was on a flowery meadow. Judging by what it looked like, it seemed like summer, which was weird because it was November, as Jessie had told her, and it must have been cold, and all those fragrant, brightly colored flowers should have withered. The brunette looked around until two figures caught her eye. They seemed to be a woman and a man. Angelique approached them, hoping to find out what was going on, but when she saw their faces, it hardened. It was her and Jessie. They sat on the edge of a lake and talked. She looked intently at the two of them, and it was impossible for her to ignore the ray of happiness that radiated from her face.